Kate Grenville's The Lieutenant is the story of Daniel Rook, a young man growing up in his hometown of Portsmouth who from an early age struggled to fit in. He had no memories other than of being an outsider. Even his parents, although they loved him, thought of him as odd. His only friend was his younger sister Anne, who seemed to accept him unconditionally. Rook was completely obsessed with numbers. His teacher thought he was stupid, but it turned out he was just the opposite. He was extremely smart. When he turned 8, he was offered a scholarship at the Portsmouth Naval Academy, and whilst there, he became interested in astronomy, navigation and music. Unfortunately for Rook, being so clever proved detrimental to him. He tried to make friends, but his conversations baffled people. Nobody had any clue what he was talking about. As time went on, he just found it easier to say nothing. One boy in particular made Rook's life difficult, a boy whose family's business relied heavily on the slave trade. The idea of slavery was incomprehensible to young Rook, who even at this early age had clearly worked out the differences between right and wrong. At the age of 15, Rook joins His Majesty's Marine Forces, travelling to Antigua in the Leeward Islands. On the way, he befriends a popular fellow officer called Talbot Silk, and by using Silk as his mentor, Rook begins to alter his persona in order to fit in. He enjoys his new life out at sea until one day he is forced to witness the hanging of an officer who has failed to serve and obey. Rook is shocked and no longer feels comfortable about his job. Eventually, Rook's ship goes into battle with the French and he is knocked unconscious and sent home to Portsmouth. But the horrors he has witnessed affect him deeply, and it is quite some time before he is well enough to work again. Eventually, Rook is offered a position as an astronomer with the Navy and travels as a lieutenant to New South Wales on an expedition to set up a new penal colony to help house the excess prisoners from England's bursting prison system. Rook's task is to search for a comet that can only be seen from the southern hemisphere. He sets up his observatory on top of a remote rock just outside of the new settlement of Sydney Cove. Rook is enamoured with his new home, and finally, away from everyone, he begins to feel he can truly be himself. To stand here, where the solitude without matched the solitude within, was to be unburdened, he thinks. But it is upon this rock he is visited by the people of the Cadigal tribe, and in particular a young native girl called Tagaran. A beautiful friendship forms, and she and Rook teach each other their respective languages. Contrary to what he first believes, Rook learns that language is so much more than just words on a page. As their friendship develops and deepens, Rook is forced to choose between Tagaran and his duty as an officer in His Majesty's service. One of the white men has been speared by a native, and the governor wants to make an example of the culprit. As the tension grows, Rook is forced to conclude that he cannot continue along two paths. He must choose where his allegiance lies. He listens to his conscience and follows his heart. He chooses to help Tagaran. In doing so, he risks his life, but he is not hanged. He leaves his beloved Tagaran and the land he's grown to love behind to follow a new path back to Antigua, where he grows old, buying and freeing as many slaves as he is able. As he lies on his deathbed at the end of the book, the reader learns that Rook has married, but his wife has died. He has 2 children who are no longer around, and he lives with Henrietta, a freed slave who remains faithfully by his side. The reader also learns that over the passing years, he has never ever forgotten Tagaran, the girl who touched his heart and taught him the value of friendship and had shown him the existence of the man he could be.